back, everyone, to Is There Room for Me? I am your co-host, I hope, for today, David.
Obviously, Lemuel. I don't know. Little talker.
And I'm Demi.
Yeah, so I'm going to pass this on right back to Lemuel. I don't know why he passed it. Running hot potato right now.
Okay, alright. It's July, I guess. Sorry for June's episode. Actually, I don't know what happened in June's episode. I'll ask producer any. What happened in our June's episode? Hopefully it was not too long for everybody.
We talked about Nehemiah rebuilding the wall, Ezra.
Thank you to everyone that watched the heart emoji.
That's why I actually passed the hot potatoes to David.
Wait, what? Really?
Because the last time I started, we started with you.
So if you guys watched the last podcast, you would remember that Lemuel started.
And it felt like I was watching the podcast for the first time. I'm like, bro, am I ever going to shut up? Am I ever going to shut up? So I just keep talking.
He kept going and like
I'm sorry.
Any and I are giving signals to one another. How do we stop him? Is it possible?
Sorry. No, producer Eni, I don't know if you introduce yourself. So.
Oh, hi, Eniola, again, behind the camera.
Eni has a dedicated mic now, so.
Yeah. Hope you guys can hear
comments
me.
and then
Hear every single word. Every single Thursday. So how was your month? June. How was June? What happened?
let me see.
First day of summer was last week.
I didn't even notice, man. I mean, between the thunderstorms and the smoldering heats, it's like.
You know what's so hilarious? So like for a whole week before that, like the first thunderstorm was that like heat wave.
Yeah,
The
massive.
thunderstorm was the first day of summer. So yeah.
That's a good way to start. Yeah.
Like, can we make up our mind?
No, we cannot. I actually heard it snowed in southern Alberta.
Wait, what?
Last week. So.
Southern Alberta, I never didn't know.
Yeah, anyone that wants to live in southern Alberta, like I don't know what you're doing there. Yeah.
I mean, to be fair, when we were in Calgary last summer, it snowed, we had hailstones, we had rain, and we had sunshine.
All in the same day.
Literally the same day. Like you guys.
Yeah.
Shout out to some of our Alberta folks. I don't know how you guys do it,
You
but.
guys are good to
But yeah, June has been fun. Start of summer, family came over, so my little apartment is packed now with 7 people.
You guys are David's brother, man. David's brother is.
Yeah, if you see my immediate younger brother, he's like my height and double my size.
I'm like, man, David, you're suffering in Canada. Your brother is in jail.
Yeah, sister also graduated from Carleton, so yeah, we have a bunch of graduates at MFH this year, so this June particularly. So it's been a good month.
Yeah, it's cool. Shout out to all the graduates. You guys crushed it. So
You worked hard.
we worked hard. Finally see those papers.
Yeah.
Graduate.
A combination of 4 years in one certificate that you might lose.
Don't laminate it, please.
Your June.
How was my June?
Yeah.
What did I do? No, then Lemon hasn't gone.
My June. Oh no! I went to Toronto.
For the convention.
Yeah, I went to Toronto for convention, for work, to see family, and it was fine. I was using most of the public transit, which was cool. Like 2 hours from Waterloo to the Union Station. Kitchener,
Oh yeah, the GO train.
Using the GO train, like it was really cool. I can walk on the GO train, like so. Even if I'm late for work, I'm already online. And then sometimes use like the street cars. Toronto, I think this time around I was amazed by the skyscrapers. Like our office is in downtown and it's just surrounded by like 10 or so. Like, yeah, anyways, Toronto was cool.
How was convention?
Convention was also cool too. Like it was just interesting to see everyone just come around. Like I went for most of the days. I went for the opening rally. I went for the one that Pelumi roped me into PSF. I'm a PSF member now, so it was good to see Pastor David actually. That was impressive. What else?
For the audience, what is PSF?
Pastor Seeds.
Yeah, Pastor Seeds.
What's the F? Okay.
Yeah, but it was nice. Like I felt like it was cool.
Pastor's kids getting special treatment.
That's
They even give them shit. What about the rest of us?
That preached one sermon at my church. Do I count as a pastor's kid?
Hey, I'm pretty sure a lot of people like.
Because I don't just ask you for ID,
I mean, they trust that you're telling the truth. They trust that you're telling the truth and that. But yeah, it was cool. Most of the music was really nice. The worship was good. What else happened that was also fascinating?
Did you go for the competition?
No, but whoever won, I watched their presentation and it was like Ottawa, man. Next time we need to like.
Wait, what was the competition?
It was like a lot of young adults.
Yeah, young adults like church.
choirs.
So it's region. You know there are 4 regions now. So region 1 choir. So apparently Overcomers is region 1.
Something, another. So like there were 2 winners.
Oh, yeah.
No.
First and second.
No, it's first, second, third.
Yeah, first,
But they
second,
didn't. I don't think they gave
Give
third
third.
trophy. Region 1, our region was
region
third.
third.
But they didn't give us
Yes.
trophy. Yeah, we
I
came
thought
third.
I thought like you didn't even like show
No,
up
we
in
came
any-
third. Please, okay, then how was your June?
Same. Oh, yeah, same. While Emma was in Toronto, I think it was like a week. It was around the same time that we had the heat wave here. And in this house, we don't have AC. So it was,
Okay, how did you cope?
bro.
But the basement is actually quite cold though.
Yeah, the basement was cool, but I didn't come here because I don't really like being here in general. So I opened all the windows and all the doors for like cross ventilation, literally everywhere, and the air was hot. But like luckily, remember like last Sunday, Amai gave us fans.
No!
You literally see me in my meetings.
Oh my
So that was
days.
interesting. It's crazy because like it wasn't like unbearably hot, but I could tell that like it was very hot. But it was cool, just like having the breeze. What else happened? Oh yeah, I was also like pretty sick that
Oh, yeah, you
beginning
lost your
of that
voice, I
week.
think.
I lost my voice for like a whole week.
The
So
flu
yeah, probably I don't
in
know.
summer. It happens to me.
And like, it
more.
was like the heat wave, and it was actually like the beginning of the heat wave was when I got sick. So yeah, it lasted. The sickness itself I think lasted for like a 4 or 5-ish days, and then for the rest I couldn't talk. But yeah, my voice is just now getting back to normal, and I think that's all that's happened.
Just in time for the podcast.
Hey.
Your voice returns.
I know, right? God is working.
God is good.
Corporate designing.
Oh, I was looking through my calendar to see what I actually did because I always forget. But we had big give this month. Yeah, and a lot of people graduated, like we said. And I went to Gatineau for ziplining, like the interprovincial
You didn't
zipline.
zipline though. You just sent your brother.
No, that was Montreal.
Oh,
That was
okay.
like last month. That was me.
Oh, was this like is it the camp
That was
run
me.
one?
The what?
What's the one that
What's
you
the
had
name?
I don't remember the
There's
name.
a camp that
No, it's not camp. It's zip something. Zip up. I can't remember. But we sure went, and it was like if you go to Gatineau, then you come back to Ontario with the zip line, or like maybe the other way around or something. I don't know. But it's like 30 minutes from here, and it was how much? Like $30 something per person. And yeah, it was fun. It was like 120 feet above the water. And
so just what you're saying.
yeah, just water. No more. God has not given me spirit of fear. What a power, Lord. Right.
You're just praying on the zipline.
Because guy, and it's like 40 seconds, so I was like, and it
Only
was
40 seconds.
honestly for like $30 something.
Oh, just that one.
Yeah, it's just one Kenny. I don't have the video, but like I'll show you guys
It's
after.
Come, is it unfortunate? Yeah.
No,
Yeah,
There's
one
one.
in
it's
Shopee.
zip,
I have to do that, man.
zip something.
That's $1 per second.
I said,
Alright, so any icebreakers?
okay, so
Well, any icebreakers.
Hey, you're up to something today.
I might be.
any
Because
balls, any balls. Watch out for any balls. Oh my days. Okay, so this is going to be I think should we say our theme for the month first before we do it? Well, we don't need to though.
Yeah, I mean, we can add, so July, half time, we're halfway through the year.
Yes.
So we're kind of are based on where we projected ourselves to be or projected ourselves to achieve. And also like I think like in general thinking about like halftime is a good spot to stop and just like think more like holistically about like areas in our lives that are not necessarily like the best or we'd like to improve upon.
So revisit your New Year resolutions.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mm.
But like this year, I guess, but this year after we're focusing on family. That makes me interesting.
Yeah. Family is important.
Okay, so the first question is everyone, how often do you talk to your family? And I'm not talking like only your brother, your sister. I'm talking your whole family, including the grandparents and the, parents
But
and
not uncles.
the uncles, the aunties, everybody. How
I don't feel
often?
sick.
How often do you
I
talk
feel
to your?
like a different sentence.
How often do I talk to? Oh,
Which way this way?
yeah.
Okay, you start first.
Okay, how often? I don't talk to my family, my parents. I don't actually talk to my parents all that often. For me, this is also like a thing with friends and just like people in my life. So there's this concept called object permanence. So it's basically like babies when you do like peekaboo and they're like so excited when they see your face because like when you cover your face they actually feel like you're not there again and then you come back and they're like, oh my god, where did you come from? Type of thing. So like, and then the same thing like happens where like I'm one of those people where if I put food somewhere hidden, like in a cabinet, in a drawer, in the fridge, I'm going to just forget that I have it until I open it and see it again. And so like that's like the same thing with me for my friends, my family. If you're not like right in front of me, my mind just like
Puts you in a closet somewhere.
exactly until like you come out. And be like, oh yeah. So all that to say, not all that often.
Okay. Lemuel?
Me, pretty weekly, I talk to my parents. For me, it's just I didn't talk to them a lot, like maybe once a month, but I just added like on my calendar because my calendar is literally packed. So if I'm looking for a time to talk to my parents, I never end up work until maybe I'm on vacation or something.
By talk, do you mean chat or do you mean phone call?
I mean like talk, not chat, not text.
Phone call.
Yeah, so for me now I just have like a weekly calendar point where they're like, okay, on this day at this time I call them if they miss the call.
Next week.
Yeah, so like so my parents weekly, my siblings pretty much like on my sister most likely just calls me at random and I just pick up and call her at random. I see my brother at church, my other two brothers, yeah, sometimes I would say probably like once a month we usually have FaceTime or video call. My siblings are pretty much chill in that like I don't think they need consistent like talking because once we just come around it's like I've been talking for like 2 minutes and we just talk forever too, so there's not much like I have to be doing weekly. My parents, I just feel like they are in Nigeria, I'm in Canada. I'm going to be intentional about just calling them, not necessarily because they want me to call them, but just for me because I feel like when I'm intentional about it, it helps with my perspective and my posture, I guess, towards my parents too. So I like that.
That's good.
But I don't talk at any of the aunts, unks on the WhatsApp. Literally the broadcast message I receive, and also my WhatsApp is literally just full of unread because by the time I scroll, I'm like, alright, mark everything as read. So I'm sorry, I have like little brain capacity for a lot of
Conversation.
Yes.
Okay.
Let me see. I'll start from grandparents. So grandparents is like once every 3 months I speak with them, and that's usually when my parents go to visit, and they'll call and then they'll pass the phone. So once every 3 months. Parents, weekly or bi-weekly. We try to do weekly so that Daryl can see us, our baby sister. But yeah, weekly or bi-weekly. Once a month, again, it's like at random, but my mom's sister calls us weekly at a specific time just so we can speak with our cousin because we've been speaking with her since she was literally like one. And so because of that, even though we've never met in person, she knows us very well. And she always looks forward to calling us. And then same thing for my brother. Not that he doesn't call me, I intentionally reach out to my immediate younger brother, Daniel. And Debbie's chill. She doesn't call me except she needs anything.
I mean, Debbie lives in your house.
Even then. Even then. But yeah, that's my breakdown. Did you say any? Are you included in this?
My dad, it's a weekly thing. Like if not every Sunday, but if my brother calls him and I'm there, I'm like, oh hi daddy, yeah. But my mommy, anytime she calls, at first my mom used to do this thing where she doesn't have like, she doesn't have that time consciousness of like the different time zones. So she calls us at any time, like 2 a.m. Like, guys, please now. But then when she started learning it, we try to talk like weekly, but not as often. My sister, like me, my brother, and my sister, we have a group chat. So we FaceTime once in a while, but we mainly just text. It's halftime now. On a scale of 1 to 10, how happy are you with your life right now?
With my life in general.
In general, like from the beginning of the year till now, since we're halftime.
I think like an 8.
An 8, okay. You don't have to explain. You just have to give a number. So,
Okay.
bye.
9.
9. Okay, David.
Yeah, let's go with 8.
8. Okay,
Shouldn't give you that.
that's good. All right, our agenda for today,
Oh yeah.
which is family revival, halftime, and the theme is halftime, but the verse of the month is Habakkuk 3 verse 2. Can we open to that? Let's just see.
One of the lesser prophets.
Oh my days, why would you? Okay, yes, he was one of the lesser prophets.
Habakkuk 3 verse 2. I have heard all about you, Lord. I am filled with awe by your amazing works. In this time of our deep need, help us again as you did in years gone by.
Yeah.
And in your anger, remember your mercy.
Yes. May the Lord remember his mercy.
Amen.
In Jesus' name.
Amen.
Okay, so do you guys want to handle it? So this month we're talking, like, it's halftime. The month of July, half of the year has gone by. So we're just going to be talking about revival, understanding, and more understanding in different families, or various families. Hence the icebreaker question of how often do you talk to your family? So in a godly family, what are the things that we should strive for? What are the things that God designed a family for? And we have a few Bible verses just to take a look at and see what God's aim was when he was creating a family, when he created Adam and Eve, and how Eve should not be alone. And yeah, so how Adam should not be alone, or how Eve should not be alone. So somebody should open to Ephesians 5:21 and Ephesians 5:23. Another person should do Genesis 2:18 and Genesis 18:19. Let's see.
Ephesians chapter 5 verse 21. And further submit to one another out of reverence for Christ. And then verse 23 says, for a husband is the head of his wife, as Christ is the head of the church. He is the Savior of his body, the church.
Alright, and we're doing Genesis 2, 18.
Yes.
Then, so Genesis 2:18, the Lord said, "It's not good for the man to be alone. I will make a helper suitable for him." And then we do Genesis 18:19. Right.
Yes.
This why I've chosen him so that he will direct his children and his household after him to keep the way of the Lord by doing what is right and just, so that the Lord will bring about for Abraham what he promised, or what he has promised him.
Yeah. Okay. So Colossians 3, I would read from verse 18 to 21. Wives, submit to your husbands as it is fitting in the Lord. Husbands, love your wives and do not be harsh with them. Children, obey your parents in everything, for this pleases the Lord. Fathers, do not provoke your children lest they become discouraged. So do we want to expand on the verses that we read and what we got from that?
And godly family.
Alright, so can I go first?
Yes.
So what I got immediately from reading all these passages was when you have a family unit. So I don't want to start from the beginning. Let's start from the beginning.
Yeah.
So the family unit. So the family unit is the basic unit of society. And so traditionally that has been father, mother, children. Of course, there can be families that have, only one father, only one mother. We're not going to count the other types that are rampant in the world in this day and age. But back home in Africa, families can also include like uncles, aunts, your grandparents. Where I grew up, we would have multiple family members staying in the same home, and so it's like it's mix of nuclear and extended family. So it's a huge blend. But within the family, and I think within all relationships, there is an order and there is a structure. And so Ephesians said, wives, submit to your husbands as he's the head of the home, just as Christ is the head of the church. And then God is ahead of Christ. So you have God, you have Christ, you have the church. Within the family, you have the husband, you have the wife, and then you have the children. So there is an order, and that order demands respect. But even as the people lower in the hierarchy are to respect those above are not to abuse their power, but are to act out of love, to care for the people below. And so there is this self-sacrificing cycle in the family units that is born out of love. And that is what sustains the family, and I think that's how families can act in order to keep themselves together and to grow in love. So
That's fair. I feel like that's a summary, to be honest.
Yeah.
Have you been married before this?
No.
That's good. I think for it's very especially like the interesting part of Genesis that I read, the first one and the second one, just I think one thing that stands out is I think we focus a lot on how God made created the institution of marriage and stuff like that, but also like he created the institution of family, to be honest. So, in fact, like the whole idea of biology was pretty much God in creation. So I think for me, something that stands out is just the idea of how God basically has a design for what he wants, especially in Abraham's case. He had the plan, he wanted certain things to happen in Abraham's family for specific reasons. So he wanted so he chose Abraham, and also he wanted to work with Abraham, so he chose Abraham because of the type of person Abraham is. Just the way Abraham was able to sort of carry his family,
he kept his house fairly in order.
Yeah, fairly relatively.
He had his missteps,
Relatively in
We're not
order.
even talking about Ishmael here.
Yeah, a lot of just wild things in general, but I guess just his ability to direct his household and be an example and earn the respect of the people around. Because I think most times people think about Abraham as like he was able to direct, but he pretty much earned the respect of Lot's for. But it's another person's family to follow you or family wherever you're going.
Exactly.
You pretty much earn that respect. The way also his wife and his children and his servants just also followed him. Throughout all the trials and tribulations that he faced, there was a respect that the people that he had as part of his family were fine. They're just respecting him, honoring him, following him nowadays. So yeah, it can be tricky too in this day and age. I don't think I was thinking about the 21st century. Like thinking about respect and submission and order and.
People don't like the word submission these days.
Or just the word order, like just
order,
like trying to make things like you say, like, do you want a traditional family? That's a good question to ask. Is like, what does that look like?
Or do you want a hierarchy? It's like, no, you don't want. Some people don't like hierarchies. They want like everyone to be equal, everyone to be, and in a sense, we are all equal value. But there is still a need for a hierarchy because that's the only way you can keep things organized and keep people, I guess, in proper you can keep relationships properly ordered in a sense. So everyone knows what they should be doing, everyone has their roles, but yeah, so people don't like order these days and hierarchy.
It's a generation, I guess. Your generation understands.
We're in the same generation.
Really?
I like the way like, I'm too old for this
So, if a wife is married to a husband that does not respect God, is she mandated to submit to him? Even though he
That does not respect
God.
God.
Yeah, he does not fear God, but she's married to him. Is she required to submit to him?
Does the wife herself, does she fear God?
Yeah.
Why would she marry someone that doesn't fear God?
Say they were both unbelievers and she became a believer, but...
Yeah, because, okay, so her becoming a believer means that she's subject to submission to her husband because, okay, as a believer, as a wife and as a believer, you should, submit to your husband. At the same time, it's a tricky situation. You have to be very careful because you don't want to submit to somebody that will lead you astray. And his excuse is I'm not I'm not a believer. You and I don't share the same religion. So
yeah, it's very, and also it's just you could also believe in God and still did your work. No, it's family is very, very tricky, and I think the more the years go ahead, the more complicated it is. So I don't know, maybe you're married before, but the next one. It's good. No, it's not going to. I think you guys are wise enough to navigate the terrain of this year. So I don't think most of you guys as adults, especially David, some of the folks in MFH I feel like you guys have a bit of wisdom and stuff to be able to navigate. But family is very, very sensitive is a word, or very delicate. Although we talk about things like tradition, structure, order, if you look at places where there's a lot of structure, where there's a lot of order, it's still very, very delicate. Something can even look at when people are talking about respect for the queen or the president, in our generation now, the way we want
make fun of
exactly. So back in the days, those kind of things were different. So, and as the years are going forward, there's a lot of very if we really want to create if you really want to have someone as a man, for example, to submit, you have to be able to be as Christ. One verse, and I'll answer your question too, which is interesting. I'll try to answer your question with a verse because I think it's very interesting that Christ being the head of the church, he warrants. I don't know, Christ sort of warrants to say I'm the head of the church because he's pretty much died. He gave the Bible talks about we love him because he first loved us, right? Because there's no It's not like Christ is like, and he also could say, you know what, I'm God. I'm right above here. I deserve for everybody to follow order in certain ways. And I don't even have to give you $1 for you to obey me because I can literally just smack you and you just I can command you to. So, but it just in the way he understood, the way he created a template for how to be the head of a home is by actually sacrificing. Is by actually being very, very, like being a servant in some sense is what Christ did, right? So if you look at him as an example, that's what I would say is dedicated. But to your question, if you're married to someone that is is a very I don't think I'm able to give an answer, but a verse that came to mind, and that's because my mentor always talks about this verse, and for him it puzzles him. I mean, he told me I was like, is that in the Bible? And he also puzzled me. So, like, the verse that comes to mind is Numbers 30, verse 12. It says, but if a husband indeed, and also, actually, no, never mind, let me just read this. So, however, if she vowed in her husband's house, or bound herself by an obligation with an oath, and her husband heard it, but said nothing to her, and did not forbid it, then all her vows will stand, and every obligation by which she bound herself shall stand. But if her husband indeed annuls them on the very day he hears them, then whatever proceeds out of her lips concerning her vows or concerning her obligations of herself shall not stand. Her husband has annulled them, and the Lord will forgive her. It's a very puzzling verse, Numbers 13.
Yeah.
But
it's puzzling for sure.
It's like wait, what? Like, so even if you make a vow to God and your husband hears about it for the first time and he says no, that vow does not.
Okay, it doesn't stand.
It doesn't stand.
It's Peter 3:7 or so. Husbands, deal with your wives with understanding, so your prayers are not hindered. It's like, bro, are you telling me God can actually not answer my prayers because my wife is angry with me?
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, so the nuances are wild, right? So
Yeah.
I don't think there's one, but anyways, that was to set the tone.
Okay, so next we're going to be moving to a few stories about, like, you know, family revivals, conflicts, how they settled it. We have 5 specific people for stories that we would like to touch on.
Can we get through all of them?
We just glance through and, you know, what happened at the end, how they resolved, or if they did resolve. You know, some of them died
So I
in the
think
process.
I will give the summary this time.
Yeah, please.
And then
Don't let me.
I
I'll
will
react.
give the analysis.
And Lemo will comment.
How about I react and just move on? Because if you tell me to summarize anything, first of all, also, I probably was not part of your pre-roll. I'm always never present in most of the I think I'm only attended one or 2 pre-rolls.
I think, yeah, 1 or 2.
Just 1 or 2 pre-rolls, and every time I just show up here and I'm like, oh, okay, so please. Sorry.
So the first one would be Abraham and Lot, you know, about the possessions.
Abraham and Lot. So, long story short, when God called Abraham, he went with his wife / half sister Sarah. We can get into that in a whole other episode. And he went with his nephew Lot. And God blessed Abraham and Lot so much that Abraham had his cattle and his herd and his herdsmen, and Lot had his cattle and his sheep and his herdsmen. And they got so big, and the land that they were staying in was so small that they started to conflict with one another. They started to clash. And so, getting into the land of Canaan, Abraham and Lot sat down and they said, you know, it seems that our family, God has blessed us to such a degree that our families are now way too big to stay together. And so, behold, the land is before you. Abraham, being higher in authority, the one that God called directly, you know, he was essentially the person that should have had first pick of the land, decided to subject that and say, Lot, why don't you pick first? And so Lot looked at the land and he said, I will pick that way. And he picked the best fields, you know, the best region. It was closer to Sodom and Gomorrah, so I'm not sure if that was the best region. And Lot went his way, Abraham went this way, and it says at the end of that, you should go read Genesis 13 for the entire story. God blessed Abraham, in his decision and going ahead into the land of Canaan. So that's the summary of the story. A simple conflict resolved by, in this case, the elder submitting to the younger, which is Lot.
And I think it's also wisdom too, because like probably for him it's like, look, I don't think he wanted Lot to feed Sodom and Gomorrah. He was just like, look, I'm pretty sure also things were happening in Canaan that were also wild too.
But the Canaanites were pretty crazy, man.
Yeah.
Like they were sacrificing babies and
He just gave Lot the opportunity to say, hey, like if you feel like you want to go to somewhere where it looks like greener pastures, which Lot said he looked at and he saw that it was, I'm going to go to the greener pastures. I'm not sure what Lot was thinking, so Abraham, you just stay here and struggle while I can enjoy it. When I go to the overseas. But anyways, the conflict was resolved with wisdom, and God blessed Abraham in his decision. And probably also God used Abraham to influence the Canaanites. And I don't think Lot was able to influence or be like a steward in Sodom and Gomorrah.
To talk about, like, I regret that story of Sodom and Gomorrah. Like, I don't know what Lot could have done. Angels came, Lord brings them into his house. The men of Sodom come and say, hey, bring them out. The Lord says no, take my daughters. They said no, they want the men. And so the angels like pull Lot in, they lock the door, they turn off the lights, everyone goes blind.
So question, when God was destroying Sodom and Gomorrah, did all of Lot's possessions go along with that?
I don't know if it's all his possessions. They gave him time. The angels gave him time to leave. They gave him like one full day to go over to the next village. And so once he got there, fire and brimstone rained down.
That is an enemy.
I'm just imagining the scene that like the entire plains of Sodom and Gomorrah. It wasn't one city. It was like all the other surrounding cities except the one Lot ran to were all destroyed.
Yeah, and if you put that in relation to the verse we read at the beginning, to where Abraham is able to direct his children in the ways of God, and Lot probably was not able to, because even when they were like, oh, leave, get up and leave, Lot is like, my daughters are still with some other guys.
Yeah, their fiancés were here, and like even when the day came and the angels were telling them to hurry, Lot was still hesitating, and the angels literally had to drag him out. I said, leave now and don't turn back. And then Lot's wife turns back and she's a pillar of salt somewhere.
And a lot of people like attribute that Lot's wife turning back to her looking back at the world, like, at worldly activities and how. But that's it. That thing is so sad, honestly. Like, honestly, within me, I would want to look back. Not that I'm missing I'm just like, what's happening?
Capture it in camera so I can see. And really also the looking back was not just turning to look, but actually the posture of heart where it's actually
she
wanted
to go back.
I don't want to even go to this place where you're freeing me from. I literally want to go back to the chaos. Like some people just like, not that it's a bad thing, but just like the chaos of Nigeria, even though it comes with some sort of community that's they miss, but like for example, some people that I miss just the chaos of Lagos. And I've never lived in Lagos, so I don't really know what it is like the chaos of Lagos. So that turning back would be even more of a, not just looking, but also like literally wanting to go back to a place that is destroying, but you're just so addicted to it that
she knew it was going to be destroyed, right?
Oh yeah. Like what are we living?
She got the memo.
Wow. So what we can learn from that is, between Abraham and Lot, Abraham was able to submit and just make him pick first, and he just took wisdom. So
every older sibling knows this. Every older sibling.
When you be like, why are you giving them all 2 chocolates and only 1 chocolate? Or you're the older one.
Wow.
Yeah, the next one should come as the last one.
Okay, the next story, David and Absalom. I think I would like to take this one. I read it
this is actually a very good one.
I read it a few months ago, and I wasn't obsessed. I was just like, wow.
It would be a nice drama series.
Oh, but I hope I can like remember all the details of the story. But starting with Absalom. Absalom was David's son. David was, one of the kings, and Absalom was he David's first son?
It was next. People thought he would be next in line.
So yeah, and David had Absalom had his sister and also his stepbrother. So Absalom's stepbrother raped his actual, blood sister, although they are also blood. Sister from the same mother. So Absalom was really upset, killed the brother and ran away. Then, David spent a long time searching for him and just told him that, okay, yes, I'm not angry and I'm done mourning the son that you killed, so you can come back. Absalom came back and he won the hearts of the Israelites, I guess. Like, he was very nice to them. He, treated them with respect and everything, not knowing that he had another agenda to take over the kingdom. But it wasn't said that he had another agenda. It was just towards the end that you can start seeing that he's up to something. So what happened after that? He kind of took over. How was he taking over? Even like I don't think I remember.
So it was essentially he told David, "Let me go to." He went somewhere to offer sacrifices. When he was going there, he told people in the land that when you hear the ram's horn, you are to scream that Absalom has been anointed king in place of his father David. And so when he went there, he offered the sacrifice. So he didn't do anything. He was this crafty. Someone blew the horn, everyone shouted Absalom is king, word went back to David. David got on his horse with his men and they fled. Because next thing that happened is Absalom gathered the men of Israel and they marched on the capital to essentially take it, overthrow it. Yeah. They got there, David had fled already. When David left, he left 10 of his concubines to take care of the palace. And then that's when
Absalom came to sleep.
That's when Absalom came and then slept with them publicly in front of all of them.
That was like the greatest family disgrace. So, sleeping with your father's wives. But one other person in the Bible slept with his father's wife, and he was a very popular person. And was it Jacob?
Jacob,
one of the sons, the 12
son
sons.
of Jacob, I forget his
yeah,
name.
and
Reuben.
and he didn't. Was he Reuben? No, Reuben was David's younger.
No.
Was he?
Jacob had a Reuben, I think.
Yeah, but like, was he the first one?
He was the first. He was meant to receive a blessing.
Then he now
received the firstborn blessing because there's a firstborn blessing.
How did the father even find out though?
The wife, the handmaid talked, I guess, because when Jacob found out, he said, "Yeah, you were meant to receive this blessing, but instead you're going to be cursed and you're going to serve your brothers."
Wow.
And so, I think that blessing was passed on to. I don't know who it was passed on to, but yeah, he lost his blessing.
Yeah, so David fled, and at the end of the day, he was able to come back. And
so what happened? Yeah, the men of Absalom, the men of Israel went against the men of David, but David has some mighty men, and he actually had a spy in Absalom's court tell him what to do.
I kind of already knew that David would win because at the beginning of Samuel, where the story of David came from, the Lord made a covenant with David that you have victory in all your battles. Like, it was specific that you would have victory. So when I remember that, I was like, victory in all your battles, will he end up with his son dead? And at the end of the day, they found Absalom. They killed him, like David's men.
Generals, yeah.
They shot about 2-3 arrows into his heart, and he died. Although David mourned him and he was very sad, but and the funny thing is that God really loved David. God, David was one of the most, he was one of the men in the Bible that God really, really loved. So when this downfall and everything was happening to his family, it was kind of sad that he went through this trial and whatever this was. But I I was talking to the David of this generation that is here right now.
My family is not going to go through all this.
I was talking to him one time and I was like, oh yeah, God loved David. God made a covenant with him. Like, why did he have to go through all this? Because the people that God made covenants with in the Bible, Abraham, Moses, David, none of them went through what David did. Did Abraham suffer? He didn't.
He was fruitless. Like, he didn't have a child.
Yeah, but at the end of the day, he had multiple, not just the two popular ones, Isaac and Ishmael. He had other ones. Okay, yeah. But okay, yes. But David's own was his own house going against him, his children killing each other. I think his story was really the saddest. And is that a word? Yeah, thank you.
We'll go with it.
So his story was really sad, and it was just really painful that his house went, and in order for him to actually have victory in all those battles, his sons had to die, and that's two of his sons now. I don't know if any other ones.
I think Amnon and Absalom, both of them died.
So, and well, that's family conflict. I don't know how they were revived by that, but yes, there was no revival.
This is an example of what happens. So there's something that you may have missed in this story because it was interesting. When Absalom came back, David did not agree to see him face to face for I think almost a year. So it's like David had not fully forgiven Absalom. And even after Absalom, made his petition through David's commander, and David's commander was like, you have to see your son, you have to forgive him, you have to reconcile.
What's the name of David's commander? He was very popular.
Joab. Joab has brothers. Joab's family are pretty insane.
Like David to them in one book, and just like
So David's mighty men is a whole other podcast episode. But Joab essentially has to appeal to David and say, hey, you brought your son back, you've not seen him for a year, you have to reconcile. And so David finally agrees, finally reconciles with Absalom. But I think at this point the damage is done, and Absalom does not think that he can ever fully return back into the good graces of his father. And so he decides that, I'm just going to overthrow the old man and become king. And so,
but who would have taken his position as a king if he didn't
Solomon was
rebel?
obviously going to be next in line to be king.
And as well, because most people, so the way Solomon came about, I don't think Solomon should have been king.
Yeah.
Right, so, and just in that whole traditional mindset, so David is most of these stories are actually examples of why those people should not have done, first of all, multiple wives. Should not have done just the crazy patriarchy they were doing then. They should really have relied on God.
But this thing that David went through, would you say it's a punishment for one of the things that he did, maybe sleeping with Bathsheba?
Definitely.
But the punishment for sleeping with Bathsheba was the death of the first son that Bathsheba had. So, is this extra?
I don't know if it's a punishment per se that David had to face. It's just a consequence of all. If you marry literally multiple wives.
That's the thing. All these men in the Bible, most of them had multiple. Isn't that they did not hear? Did God not tell them that they shouldn't have?
Jesus literally said it in the beginning. It was one man and one woman.
Because most of the prophets, you rarely see someone with one wife. Well, would I say prophets? Not the prophets, the kings. You rarely see one.
Because it was a thing of pride to have the king would have his harem. It was a thing of pride back then.
It didn't have to be the king. Even just think about right from Abraham, just having concubines, having mistresses, having.
Same thing for Jacob. I think Isaac was the one that had.
Isaac was pretty Isaac didn't have much.
Yeah.
Okay, he was the only son, so he created.
Isaac had one wife, 2 sons.
But I think this when it comes to families, the Old Testament legends are very good examples as what not to do when it comes to how they were womanizing, they were just patriarchal in the
But what was different about Isaac's life compared to those ones that had multiple wives since he had one
I
wife?
think that was pretty chill.
I think he may have seen the effect how Sarah asked that his older brother Ishmael and Ishmael's mother be kicked out of the house. Because Sarah literally said, Abraham, kick these people out of this house. And Abraham sent them there.
And they were pretty cool friends, right? They were
Yeah.
cool siblings. They were like.
And so I think Isaac saw that and said he doesn't want that conflict in his family.
So
This is just my...
I think the only like conflict in Isaac's family was the stealing of the blessing.
Yeah.
But like,
that was literally at the end.
well, and that was even because of his wife. No, well, yeah.
Fair enough.
We'll get to that story.
It's very. Should we do that story next since we're already on
Okay,
it?
yeah, since we're already there, we'll go Esau and Jacob. So I will not dwell very much on this story since we all know it, but in continuation from what we talked about, Isaac had one wife. Her name was Rebecca or Rachel? 'Cause I mixed this up. Rebecca? Okay. Isaac had one wife, Rebecca. Rebecca gave birth to two sons, and I think I don't think they're the first twins in the Bible, but I don't think they're the first twins in humanity,
Wait, twins?
but I think they might be the first twins in the Bible. Yeah, Esau and Jacob are twins.
For real? I thought they were just brothers.
No,
But
they're twins.
one came. It was
One
clearly- one
So
came
Esau
from
came
one
out, and Jacob comes out holding the heel of Esau. Jacob comes out. Esau grows up to be big, muscular, hairy. He's a hunter. Jacob grows up to be, the calm, quiet, skinny. I think he's a gardener.
Aww.
He grows.
How sad.
So like mommy's boy.
Yeah, he's a mommy's boy and Esau is a daddy's boy. So one day Esau comes back from hunting and he's like, well, I'm so tired. I'm about to die. And then Jacob comes and says, I have some porridge. He's like, I want your porridge. He said, sell me your birthright. And he said,
But sorry, was there no other food in the house? Like, why does it have to be that specific porridge?
So two things. I don't know why Jacob asked for Esau's birthright. I'm still trying to figure that out because that is a very specific thing. Like if one of my siblings were to ask me, like, give me your birthright in exchange for something that I asked for, I would be very surprised.
And
Like,
also,
What is your birthright? Like, am I taking your place as the first?
that's essentially what it became because Jacob became Israel and he became the father. And Esau, Edomites, they were kind of separated from God, but they were not in the plan of God's hierarchy anymore.
So did you think that Esau was supposed to be the father of the 12?
Esau could have been the person, but God knows the end from the beginning, so he knew this would happen. But we're playing in time right now, and in time, Esau sells his birthright for a pot of porridge, and when he realizes that, it's like, not only that, but then when Isaac is about to die, Rebecca dresses up Jacob as Esau, gives him goat skin so he's hairy, and then when Jacob goes in to see his father Isaac, and Isaac wants to bless Esau, he blesses Jacob instead.
And this is after he already took his birthright.
And this is after he took his birthright.
This guy, why now?
And so,
Like,
Just like covering all his bases.
guy, I'm
and then Esau comes in, asking for his birthright. And he's like, I've just blessed you, bro. And just like, and then Esau realizes he's been deceived, and Rebecca tells Jacob, start running, your brother's coming for you, and Jacob runs. Long story short, after he goes on to his uncle Laban, he marries his two wives again because he didn't learn from his grandfather, and then he comes back to
He's got his two wives, right? Oh, he has concubines.
yeah, he has concubines, so 4 in total. So he comes back to his brother Esau, and he comes with his entire family. He's coming back to his brother Esau, and Esau meets him, and this man is scared. So he prostrates, he apologizes, and Esau embraces him, and Esau kisses him, and all's well and ends well. Everyone's happy. I think time healed that wound.
He's the
The
last
last
one.
ones have I call it the luck of the last because they have a blessing. God loves last ones. He loves first ones. Man, he really loves last ones.
like if even diverting from that to the story of Joseph too, and how he was the last one.
Oh, look at any with the transition. Before we get there, Salam or any commentary?
No, I think you guys said it really perfectly, like, and there was no doubt. I was still confused as to if Esau did not understand he was in a patriarchal society that, like, the firstborn carries, like, pretty much all the father had will become Esau's asset, right?
Exactly.
Or maybe I didn't really have that much to really, like it wasn't like, or Esau had a lot more as he was growing up. You know, like when you start your business as a father, son, like, you can share everything, all your siblings can take everything. I already have, like, I'm already millionaire, I'm already rich, I don't really need most of it. But then if you're rich, why are you coming to ask for porridge? Like, it's just so.
And do we know like what age this happened? Like the birthrights, do we know what age they
But we know they're like
They are
hunting, they're men, they have like things they're doing.
They are men of marriageable age, because Jacob goes on to get married. So
yeah, so and then and to be fair also too, when Jacob comes back, he comes back with like a large family, and he also meets Esau's large family. So it's not like Esau was like broke.
Well, give us the story of Joseph and the 12 brothers.
The 12 brothers, basically. It's actually 11 brothers. Yeah, really. I don't think Benjamin is even part of them. That
Bro is a minor character in his own story.
yeah, but it started with Jacob just marrying multiple people, giving birth to like all of them, and then Joseph basically being his favorite, which I'm not sure why Benjamin is not your favorite, but Rachel finally gives birth to Joseph, and Jacob loves Joseph. He gives him coat of many colors. Everybody's out working. Joseph is out
Dreaming.
That's actually my one.
Dreaming.
I have a dream. One day, all of you that are working hard will bow down and worship me. But yeah, and then
You can't blame the brothers.
yeah, man, brothers are like you. Like they get tired of Joseph, like the brothers. They capture him. They're about to kill him. I think Reuben or one of the older ones basically comes and says, "Hey, like, he's not me. Let's just put him in the well. Let's not do anything. We don't want his blood to be on our hands." And then I think later, the siblings actually don't want. I'm not sure which of the elder brothers, but they come back and say, "Okay, instead of saying let's sell him to slave traders,
Going to Egypt.
right?" So they to be like it's around.
So where were they? Where were Jacob and his family?
They were in Canaan. They were in Canaan. And they sell him, and then I think Reuben comes back like, "Oh, where's Joseph?" Like, "Oh, Joseph." Yeah. It's also interesting, like Jacob already was set. He was like a made man, right? He took a lot from Laban. He has like
He was a rich and
he was really rich and well. At least his family, they were not starving. All they had to do was just keep working on the business that Jacob had, right? And I think they were not content with that, or they wanted to kill him. And you know what? You can actually make money off of this and just sell him and tell our father that we killed him. And
no, he was killed by look at his blood.
Look at his blood. And then Joseph, I'm not sure why he was not bitter, man. I would be like, yo, he's first of all taking me out of the comfort of our relationship and take me to a place where they're just like, to a foreign land. That's so you think about it, he has not been to all these places. He actually came back from Laban's house as a young man, and now they're taking him to Egypt. Egypt was an empire at the time. He starts out as one of the guards, Potiphar's. And then also Joseph says, "Oh well, we all know how like he got tempted everywhere till he was in jail, and then there's famine everywhere else. But since Joseph dreams and also interprets dreams, Pharaoh is now looking for someone to interpret his dream, and Joseph comes and interprets the dream for him, and Pharaoh puts him as the prime minister of Egypt to facilitate how the." And that also goes to what you're saying about visions and dreams, because Pharaoh would have told somebody else other than Joseph, and they'd be like, "Oh no, it's just a regular dream." And so luckily for Pharaoh, someone that was his baker or
His one was killed.
Yeah,
the cupbearer was killed, and the baker was
restored, and told him about Joseph, that you need to actually tell this dream to Joseph, because Joseph will be able to of the dream, Joseph basically says, look, there's famine coming, let's prepare for it. So they start preparing, they start storing grain and stuff. So famine comes, everywhere else is coming to Egypt. Everyone else in the world is coming to Egypt to get food. And then his brothers come. They cannot recognize him because he's now such an Egyptian guy that they don't, all they know is like, my king, they're bowing down to him, the same, literally bowing down to him, scared of him, and so on and so forth. So Joseph tells them to go back. He keeps Benjamin, and he's like, if you take Joseph is already gone for Jacob's life. Benjamin, pretty much everything about Rachel is gone. And Jacob vowed, he's like, I worked for 14 years. My wife died, I worked for. He told me Joseph has done it. And then Benjamin is now captured in Egypt. So they all come back with Jacob. Joseph reveals himself to them. And they basically say, look, like, I think again, time heals wounds. And I think Joseph's wisdom of understanding that God basically took him on a journey to preserve his family.
Right, yeah. If he was not there, they probably would have not been allowed to stay in Egypt and treated as well as they were. Do you think he interpreted his own dream?
Did
he believed it so much and he understood it so much that he would be at a place
that when the time came, he knew this is why I was given that dream.
But it's like deja vu. It's like, oh, this is actually what I dreamt of.
Yeah.
But funny enough, he didn't really think about it that much. He was thinking about saving the family. So
wow.
It was wild. Well, yeah, Joseph is a wild story.
So what can we learn? What can we learn from the story of Joseph? Don't talk too much. Number one, but at the same time, I'm not. Joseph succeeded at the end, so.
Life threw at him. You know, he was still willing to forgive the people that put him down that journey of absolute despair. He went to prison.
Yeah, also he didn't even like feel like he had no resentment towards God. And
Final one, Jesus.
Final one, Jesus. Okay, best for last.
Okay, so I think now we're coming into the New Testament, and who better to look at than our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ and his wonderful family. So his father and mother, Joseph and Mary. Fun fact: Joseph's father is called Jacob. Joseph and Mary know that Jesus is the Messiah. Joseph and Mary go on to have other children after Jesus, and they do not believe that Jesus is the Messiah. And so there was literally a time he was preaching in his hometown, and he was like, is this not Jesus, the son of Joseph the carpenter? It's like, are his brothers and sisters not here with us? It's like, and even they don't believe that he is who he says he is. And Jesus goes on to say, a prophet is not respected in his own home. His siblings did not believe that he was who he said he was. His siblings did not believe in him. They did not believe he was the Messiah. And what it took for James, his brother, that wrote that little book in the Bible called James, and possibly Jude, his brother, that may have written the book in the Bible called Jude. What it took for his siblings to realize he was the Son of God was Jesus dying and being resurrected, and him appearing to the 12 disciples and 500 other brethren that's recorded in the book of Corinthians, I think, that Jesus appeared to 500 other brethren. He may have appeared to his own family to say, hey, guess what, I'm the Messiah. All that to say is, I'm not going to provide the analysis on this. I'm going to pass that on to you. I've told the story.
And also the fact that, like you said, like, you know, when you grow up in a family, it's also like, I'm not sure how, like, some of, this is the side before it comes to this, I'm not sure how some of the big celebrities in the world, like, or even like, how their siblings see them. See, it's like, are you not just the regular?
The regular guy grew up with. It's just like you have $1 million more than me.
Yeah, literally, yeah. So it's pretty that, like, sense of familiarity because we also don't see Jesus' life growing up as a kid. So there's literally a portion of his life we don't really hear much about. He comes onto the scene in his ministry at like 30. So we don't know how his other siblings sort of relate to him, if they see him do miracles as a kid and they're like, you're weird, or they see him do nothing and they're like, they think he's also like just cool. And then later he starts talking like one of the prophets, like opening scrolls, he's like, bro, like, we don't believe. Go to those other people that he can fool as to what is going on here, right? So, but I guess like when he now dies and then he comes back and then he's like, oh snap, this is legit. Because you can say maybe people hear about the story, they don't know what Jesus looks like. So when he appears to people, it's like, oh, he heard of you, but we're not sure if it's the same Jesus. His siblings that saw him
would have known that this is my
is the
brother.
resurrected Christ, and he's like, okay, bro, like, I'm sorry, you're the real one. Even like at his death, most of the people from his city started realizing, oh, this really is the Son of God, and it's crazy, yeah. Like, and even he also goes to like all the people that he helped, he healed, like how like people that the priest was just convinced to crucify him also. So like
Everyone betrayed him.
everyone that was shouting, heal, 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 next thing, right away you're telling him to free Barabbas. Yeah, I think it's interesting, like family and also like calling, the same thing that happened to Joseph. The fact that you're called, it's like we don't really understand what that means. We're going to literally sell you because we don't even value the calling on your life, or we don't value what you say is the calling on your life. And yeah, it's that thing of familiarity and how we could also bring about a bit of content. Or for them, they're like, why didn't God call me? If everybody in this house God is supposed to call, why is it you, Jesus, that you're calling? Or why is it you that why are you the Son of God? Why am I not? Or so on and so forth. So that bit of familiarity, but I don't know. Yeah.
Anyways, we have wrapped up all the stories that we had for you guys to hear. So if you want to just go deeper and understand these stories better, you should read the Bible chapters that explain it better so you can understand. And I'll just leave you with a quote, well, not a quote, I saw something online and I just think that you guys would like to hear since we're talking about family revival. So the family is the foundational institution of society that is ordained by God. It is a masterpiece of God's creation. Marriage and parenthood reveal God's character, and God put children in families so that they can experience His love and learn how to love others. So if you are privileged enough to have a family, to come from a good background, don't take it for granted. Obey. If you're a child, please obey your parents, like we spoke about in Colossians 3:18-20. Wives, submit to your husbands. Husbands, love your wives. And children, obey your parents in everything, for this pleases the Lord. Strive to please the Lord in whatever activity that you're doing, whether it be respecting your parents, whether it be submitting to your husbands, loving your wives, and so on and so forth. So yeah, do we have any last words from...
Any with the epilogue?
Do we...
Like the second one in a
Do we have any last words from our actual hosts?
So last words. No, is there room for you?
Yeah.
Families, is there room for your family?
Yeah, and yeah, is there room for your family? There's room for your family.
You can try.
Yeah. All right, thank you so much for tuning in to another episode of Is There Room for Me? Your host. It was a long one. We hope you enjoyed it. And your host today, Lemuel, David. Daniel had to step out. And yeah. Thank you so much. We'll see you on the next episode. Bye.
Bye.